We're gonna do something we've never done before. We're gonna cross swords. We're gonna do a a double. Do it again. Double. Long box. Oh God. Somebody's crashed their car.
What the hell is this shit? Classic. Okay, so no, we're actually doing our long box this week is the same.
Yeah, it's a double long box.
Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves.
Double. I will say this. Much better than I expected. I expected to like it, but I didn't expect to like it as much.
There was a movie we watched, and I want to say Quantum Mania, or did we not see that together?
We did see that together.
Okay, there was one. Yeah, I think it was that one or the one before.
Because
I saw Panther by myself. Right?
No,
we saw Panther.
The only movie we haven't seen by ourselves.
Guardians. We did.
Guardians was the last one we did.
But during one of them, the preview for the Dungeons and Dragons
it was Quantum
movies,
Mania. Because that came out in February.
Yeah, and it came out, and it was on, and I just remember, I am a huge Chris Pine fan. Like, just really
charming as hell.
Like, I mean, he's really a nice looking man.
Mm. Nice slice of meat, let me tell you.
No, I really liked how they actually...
He's a great leading man.
They made a joke about his lips, because that's, like, the criticism he's always gotten. And she was like, what about... She's like, your lips. So, like, what about my lips? Like, they're too big for your face.
Did you know... that
Michelle Rodriguez was awesome.
Did you know that his dad is Richard Pine, who was in the show Chips? Who else was on that?
He was the captain, wasn't he?
You know who else was on that show? Michael Dorn, who was also in Star Trek: The Next Generation, and then we find out that Chris Pine was Captain Kirk in those J.J. Abrams
Why
movies.
You keep moving your head like that?
Because I'm saying it was 6 degrees of Captain Kirk. So anyway,
6 degrees of Captain Kirk.
We saw it together, and I think the marketing was good. I think the trailers were good. I think it did a great job of conveying the humor, because there was one the scene in the graveyard of this movie. I'd seen a clip of that.
Just kept it was in the
Twitter.
Preview.
Well, yeah. It might have been on a later trailer too, yeah. But I saw it on Twitter first, I think, and I just remember scrolling and I seen that. I'm like, well, I was like, what the hell? That was really funny.
But it's so much better than that.
And I don't know.
It goes on for like 10 minutes.
I have a friend that actually plays D&D. I'd love to talk to them about it because he really liked it.
I liked it,
and I think anybody that has played it probably enjoys it. I think. Right. Well, for me, it was nice to watch a fantasy movie that was fun. Like, we don't get enough funny,
Did you notice
enjoyable...
that the comic we read a couple of weeks ago featured those characters in a cameo?
Yeah.
In the maze? Wasn't that awesome?
Which one? What?
Those kids in that Dungeons and Dragons comic book, that cartoon I grew up with, they're in the maze scene. They're one of the other teams.
Huh.
They show the barbarian kid picking up his axe.
Huh.
And with the green...
I didn't catch that. Huh.
Of course you didn't.
Wow.
No, let me start a little bit backwards. Obviously, I've talked to you about the cartoon, which was I believe CBS Saturday mornings, and then we read the comic book a little bit ago, a couple weeks ago. That was I thought really good, kind of continuation of that, because in the comic book they're like, why do we have to go home? And the entire series is about how they have to get home.
Yeah, they don't want to.
So Dungeons and Dragons has largely been kind of an difficult thing to market because there's so much, man. There's so much, and what do you focus on? What do you focus on? Now,
yeah, it's designed. It's an RPG. It's designed to be open-ended.
They never made toys for that cartoon, but they did make Dungeons and Dragons action figures and play sets, and they were different characters, and I had a couple of them, but none of them appeared in the cartoon or anything like that, and most of them were just based off of the game itself.
Yeah.
Like drawings from the game or whatever. And they were pretty advanced action figures. Now, so then you get a guy who somehow buys the rights to the Dungeons and Dragons movie for like $1,000 or something. And he proceeds to somehow make a movie with Jeremy Irons and Marlon Wayans.
So bad.
Right?
It's
the fucking worst. I've never seen it. I don't want to.
I watched it like when I was a kid. I watched it.
But he directed it himself, which is like why it's so bad, right? So
I don't. Even as a kid, I knew it was bad, and I never went back.
So when I first heard that they were making another Dungeons and Dragons movie, it's the same as when they're making another Peter Pan movie. It's like, why? Although
that movie,
to be fair, there's only been 2 Dungeons and Dragons movies. The first one was really bad. So I'm hopeful, and the preview is really good. And again, it's hard to convey, but I think I think I'm not a hardcore D&Der, but I know a lot more about D&D than the average person. And I would like to think that the guys who made the movie are hardcore D&Ders, and that they put enough stuff in there to also satisfy the hardcore D&D gamers. Because I was completely satisfied by the slime cube and the owl bear and the fucking
the owl bear thing was great. And
the treasure chest. What is that called? Damn it! The one that opens up with a mouth and
But what I thought was interesting,
what
I loved about it is how, especially with the paladin character, how they kept it true to what these classes are.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because of how it's a thing. Like it plays up their abilities and uses their classes as an archetype. Like when Michelle Rodriguez is beating the fuck out of those dudes, Ashley's like, "How is she doing that?" I'm like, "Because she's a barbarian. That's her class." Like that's what I think that's what they were trying to convey. And then when the paladin is super fucking righteous about everything they do because that's how the paladins are treated in the.
One of my favorite moments, I can't remember exactly when it is, but it's Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez both walking, and they're, I think it's when they're about to lop their heads off, and she basically takes care of it, and while she's kicking ass,
He's
like the entire time, he's just like, trying to find something
and that's
sharp.
because he's a bard. He's fucking useless,
right? But I mean, just there's so many classic moments in this movie that I would watch it again. I think all of the acting is great. All of the characters are great. It's just Hugh Grant.
Oh my God, the beginning.
Hugh Grant is fucking.
I was
great,
telling you,
dude.
there's the part of the beginning when he's on trial to try and get on parole.
Yeah,
essentially. And he lays out the story.
Or no, the first part.
But when he's
come
like,
into
"I
the
wish."
cell.
Yeah, this is where our piss freezes,
and that's it.
But when he keeps trying to get
she loves her potatoes.
Is Jonathan here? I need Jonathan here.
Jonathan.
And the whole reason they want him there is so they can tackle him out of the building and fly because he's a giant bird person.
So it's implied like that this guy is from where they're from, whatever that means. That's kind of the implication while they're walking up to before the trial board and all that shit. And that's why it's so funny, because when he finally walks in, he's a bird person, and you're like, what the hell? And then, of course...
But when they tackle him out the window, I thought it was the funniest thing.
It's great.
He's squawking like a bird,
it's great.
Fucking funny.
Fly, bird!
I'm sorry?
But it's great.
When I think of birds, I think they're funny. Because you know why?
Well,
Have you seen a bird walk? Their head always bounces in a certain way, and it's always funny.
One of the best characters on Rick and Morty is Bird Person.
Or you ever watch Futurama with the bird lawyer? Or the chicken lawyer?
No.
Oh God!
But there's a Kids in the Hall sketch called Chicken Lady, and that is horrific. Way to go, Mark McKinney.
But
I give
but there's so much of this movie that I love about it.
It's
again,
fun.
That's what I mean. What I was saying earlier. It's nice to have fantasy be fun again, because we've had so many I don't think there's anything wrong with Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, but they're not fun movies. They're much. They play it straight. They play it serious. You've got Game of Thrones that is blood and guts and sex and dragons and very hardcore shit. And then it's nice to have something like this that's a little bit more fun. And I hope this. Now I know
I don't know if it's necessarily family friendly, but I mean,
I feel
it's
like
not it's not horror.
There's nothing too scary.
Not
in this,
too much violence. I mean,
not a lot of swearing.
A lot of the violence is kind of implied. Like their hardcore violence.
Oh my God! When they kept talking to the corpses, and that one fell out of the jacuzzi and snapped his neck, I was like, "That's fucking funny." And the first
one dude who got cut in half.
Oh, we can't just leave him here. Yeah. Are you a cat person? No.
No, but then the last guy. That was only 4 questions. Shit.
And then the end credit scene is he's still sitting there. Anybody want to ask me anything? It didn't do well financially. So we'll see. But Paramount is
I was surprised that it was on streaming so quick. Yeah.
Paramount has their deal with Hasbro, and Hasbro is committed to keeping this going because there's a series being developed for Paramount Plus, and I can't remember a different cast of characters. It's a different like D&D campaign. Now, you and I are not big D&D guys. I don't know if this is attached to any like actual D&D campaign or if it's its own thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think. I know that it probably didn't make a ton of money, but I'm hoping that the show helps bolster it enough. The one that's coming. I'm trying to find it. Coming to Paramount Plus.
I was gonna say you better not fucking say Netflix. You fucker.
I'm still trying to find. I know there was there was a big name attached to the show, but tell me about your life, Tyler. While I'm looking that up.
I'd rather not.
Come on. You gotta.
Well, I got a new single coming out June 10th.
Whoa!
Be looking on Spotify for that if you're have a hankering. Here's the thing. I follow a lot of artists on Spotify, and I never get notifications. I mean, when I open the app, I do. But I would really appreciate it if you just followed me on Spotify because it's not like you're gonna get barrage.
So,
I'm not done. It's not like you're gonna get like. It's not like you're gonna get a barrage of emails or anything. And that way
Tyler,
I make a little more money, and
on.
then we can make a better podcast.
Wow.
You could have let me finish.
I couldn't.
Well, I am now.
They're making a live action Voltron.
Jesus.
That was a year ago. I don't know if that's actually happened.
Is that like the Green Lantern TV series on HBO Max? Fuck.
Rawson Marshall Thurber is going to be the guy who wrote the pilot, and he'll be producing the Dungeons and Dragons show.
Okay.
His most recent movie was the Ryan Reynolds movie, Red Notice, which is it was a pretty run of the mill action movie. It was a very inoffensive action movie, is what I'll put it.
There's times when I'm like...
But what I'm getting at is I'm hoping that will help
like,
bolster
Ryan,
this.
I know that you want to keep busy and stuff, but just fucking make Deadpool and stop everything else.
I got what I paid for.
Yeah.
Also, the company that Hasbro owns that makes D&D, they were asked about it, about how not making
and they said, "Get out of my face with that
flop.
fucking camera."
No, what they said was, "Well, we're just happy it was good," which is, I would say the same thing. If somebody made it, I'm just happy this.
Think about the first one.
And here's the thing:
that had nothing to do with this.
I think that movie was successful, in my opinion, with you and me being someone that's a very casual audience, pleasing us. And most D&D players.
Oh, I'm pleased.
Most D&D players enjoyed it, so I do hope they make another one. And when they were approached before, if there was a possibility to do a sequel, if they're going to do a new party or a new thing, and they would keep these characters. And I hope they do, because these characters have good chemistry. Especially Michelle Rodriguez and Chris Pine. They're very fun, like brother-sister relationship.
Yes, yeah.
And yeah, we really liked it. And this is our late review of Dungeons & Dragons Among Thieves. Honor Among Thieves.
Yeah. But yeah, I think...
Quick side... Oh, go ahead.
No, I just final thing, good effects.
Good effects.
Good effects, great acting, good story, good. I mean, it was just all around good. I really liked it.
Yeah, I enjoyed
highly
it.
recommend it. If you have Paramount Plus, yes,
watch it.
Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.